Frankie Nicole here. How's it going? Happy Tuesday. Hey, Daisy. Got all the cats around me, you know, cat lady extraordinaire. So today I wanted to talk about discourse and discussion and having an open dialogue about things. We just had a major shift in our consciousness. Gay marriage is now legal in all 50 states. That's great, but there's still so much more to do. We have a fight ahead of us. We have lots of conflict, lots of bigotry still, lots of oppression by religious right, and we have our own inner oppression. What I really wanted to talk about today is the discrimination between small sects and small groups. We don't all have to get along famously and, perfectly, but the thing that breaks us apart and makes our argument less strong is when we don't have a united front in terms of love and understanding with one another. It's okay for all of us to have different feelings and different thoughts. We are now in the age of Aquarius, and that is exactly what is happening. We are all exploring different wavelengths that are completely different and may not completely jive with one another. But that does not mean that you are allowed to be discriminatory against people that do not subscribe to the same type of labeling or thought process that you do, even if it is on the same vein. Now, to be more specific about that, I kind of want to go into a discussion I recently had on queer housing on Facebook. Queer is a blanketed term. So when somebody posts an article about Capitol Hill, a famously queer neighborhood or gay neighborhood in Seattle that used to be more open and safe haven for homosexuality and a place where people felt that they could go, that they belonged, to a somewhat more of a drunken party neighborhood where gentrification has taken over and people who once were able to afford housing up there are no longer able to even find a place of residence, as well as they're just trying to kick out homeless people just to remove the undesirables basically from the neighborhood. Gentrification. So what I would like to really stress is that we're all trying to fight against discrimination in some form or another, and it is unacceptable, no matter what your outside form takes, to go after someone because of their differences. I really want to stress practicing something holy before you even try and put it out there, because then you just come off looking like you're on a high horse in your corner of all-knowing, I am queer, or I am I am gay, or I'm a lesbian, or I am this identified as this. It's really it puts you in somewhat of a similar category as a bully or somebody who is of bigotry when you just blast your point out there and you're not trying to start a discourse or a discussion here. My videos, I do talk a lot about things, and I do encourage a lot of things, but I never disencourage discussions. I want people to have I want people to be engaged in what I have to say, because it is important to be engaged in this world. It is important to have those discussions in order to learn more. So when people get mad about and just, well, I wasn't trying to attack you and I wasn't trying to do this, that's a reaction. And then, yes, you were actually, because if you're having that kind of reaction to something and you're getting defensive about your reaction, then you probably were meaning it in a way. And now you're just trying to project it on to me of what your insecurities and what you were doing, and make it seem like I'm just pointing that out, which is so absurd in its thought process, because people complain all the time about how they get pegged and put in and discriminated against, yet they are so willing to continue that discrimination regardless of what they know how it feels. It's not a great feeling to be discriminated against regardless of who you are and how you feel. If we could all just open our minds and have discussions and start listening to one another, perhaps then we could start making some gigantic changes. My practice has always been to sit down with somebody and have a conversation. Now, these conversations go many of different ways, and I've gotten yelled at, I've gotten harassed, I've gotten almost raped in a sense, and maybe people think that I am putting myself into danger, but my experience is that I just wanted to have a moment of discourse with another person to open their mind up and teach them a different point of view and learn my own different point of view, because everybody has one, and it's important not to just continue railroading your point home until the other person just wants to give up and just be like, well, you obviously are not open to receiving any new information. You are stuck in the past of your past paradigm of what you think is supposed to be or what is, and you are not available to receive any new information. You have a stuck frame of mind, and that is really a conservative thing. That is a very conservative point of view. So regardless of what you think conservative or liberal is, you should always have a willingness to be open. Now, it's more difficult than it sounds, obviously. And I'm going to light some of this sage so we can disperse some of this energy, because I don't want to have this be a negative thing. I don't want people to look at this podcast and think, oh, there she goes, a rant and a raving again. Because it's not a rant or a rave. I'm just trying to exemplify a point. And if you wish to have a discourse with me, I am free and open to have that discourse. And I will admit if I have a perceived notion or a prejudice against somebody. I am not completely stubborn. I mean, I am stubborn, but I am open and available to change my mind, because that is what life is about, right? Changing your mind. So I just encourage people who consider themselves to be open-minded to double-check that box and see if they really are open-minded, or if they're just masquerading as open-minded and really stuck in a rut of who they think that they are and what they think about the world. I agree that it's important to have designated safe places for people who think in a certain way, but if you're going to label it as a certain thing, you have to be open to everything that entails. And queer is a very non-binary, well, actually no, it's actually binary. Some of the other terms to describe people are very non-binary, and that's why queer is a very all-encompassing term. And so if you're going to talk about queerness, you have to be more open to what that all entails. And though I look on the outside like a cisgender female, that's not exactly how I identify myself, and you shouldn't assume that, just how I shouldn't assume how you identify yourself. So, with that, we'll move to the love cards, because I want to really stress love and acceptance. But this is not hostility. This is me sticking up for myself and my point of view. And it's important for me to do that because it's been really tough for me to do that. People have walked all over me my entire life. And I've had to set so many boundaries with people that have been very uncomfortable for me to actually express because I didn't want to offend people. You know how awful it is to not want to offend people and then be completely just blindsided by people's offenses, people's pushiness, people's assumptions, expectations of you. It has been a stressful life for me, and so I prefer seclusion because of that. Because of I have not found my tribe yet, there where I'm feeling accepted and appreciated, and it has been stressful because it's hard to not be able to find a tribe of people that you can feel safe in. The love that emanates from my beloved's heart is a light that stems from the mind of God, Goddess. Through each other we become one. I give thanks for the endless blessing that is you. Find your tribe. Emanate your inner light. Emanate who you are, and it'll come back to you. A great love life requires intimacy, trust, and the ability to share your feelings. Express your doubts, fears, and likes and dislikes. Talk openly, listen, be present, always with an open-minded heart. Exactly. Listen, discuss, talk openly, no judgments. Be able to express yourself without fear of retribution. Do not fear the current changes. All is happening in accordance with your divine plan. The current events are paving the way to a brighter future. Love illuminates all darkness. Remain positive in light. Let go of the darkness, like I said in yesterday's cast. It's okay to embrace it, but you also must use it responsibly and then let it go. Allow yourself to entertain dark thoughts, but then find the light within those dark thoughts. Do not allow the darkness to overwhelm and all-encompass your being and your thoughts, because then you get stuck in the ruminations. Again with these allergies. You are in my heart, like a glowing ocean light, a shimmering star in heaven. Love is a golden memory drifting through space like autumn leaves, recollections of loving days and nights. Feel it in here. Put your hand on your chest and feel your heart. Feel the beating. Know that you are alive. You're here in this world. You matter. Your point is valid to the extent of it is something that you have to say. Your thinking, your thoughts are valid. It's a valid point to express, to open others' perspectives and point of views to something new. People may not be thinking of something unless you point it out. So your perspective is unique and should be heard. Perfect one to end on, right? I surrender all negative beliefs that no longer serve me and replace them with loving thoughts and intentions. From this moment, I will only listen to the voice of love. Your love is an endless source of inspiration. So love. Be loving. Speak to others with respect. Listen. Be receptive. Acknowledge and try to understand another's point, but do not take it on as your own just to validate their point. Stand firm and strong in your own convictions. sip of coffee. Where are we at? Oh, 15. All right. Oh, and we have a grand fire trine today in the sky, which we can use for positive wishes. So make your wishes in what you want out of life. Gravitate towards a positive outlook of what you want and what you feel that is a good thing in this world, and focus on that. Ignore the gloom and doom that is being projected because of the opposition that is felt. People will always feel threatened when their point is becoming insecure. When they feel like they have no ground to stand on, they will become more vicious and start attacking. And that is a defensive position. And we need a third punctuation mark. Interesting. Okay. Oh, alright. So it looks like we have some stuff going on. We have the Empress upright, the Prince of Swords in reverse, the Ace of Cups in reverse, and the Nine of Wands in reverse. So we have our Mother Goddess energy. Excuse me. We have the births, beginnings, starts, growth, fertility. Empress, she is soft, she is feminine and in her energy, no matter, regardless of your gender, and she is all about growth and the mysterious. Hey, stupid crows. Anyways, so there's definitely this beginning energy happening tomorrow, or today, I guess, if you're watching it. She is the epitome of, growth. She is the eternal mother. She is pictured here as pregnant, and it can be pregnant with ideas as well. So there could be new ideas, new beginnings happening. And then we have the Prince of Swords in reverse, and this can be somebody who's an energy thief, or who's maybe not coming off as 100% genuine or transparent on the outside. Do not necessarily trust the first impression that you get. There's usually something underneath that's going on. So perhaps there's a new beginning, but there could be other things underneath that are needing to be considered, looked at, researched in depth. Excuse me. So don't always trust your first impression. And we have the Ace of Cups in reverse, and I think that actually does speak to, so there's new emotional beginning, but there's something, there's a stuck energy. There's something that needs to be explored first before it can begin, because perhaps there is something that is not known yet, and so trying to look at all the facts around it, and not knowing and not being able to have this emotional beginning that that can start easily, because there is something not quite yet revealed, or And then we have the Nine of Wands, which talks about stress and anxiety. And I think that not knowing something and feeling like somebody's lying to you can be stressful and anxious, and it can put you a little bit on edge. And in reverse, it definitely reminds you to take things slow, to be kind and gentle with yourself, acknowledge your own thoughts and feelings, and don't try to do things quickly and make a decision because you want to get all the information, all the facts. Punctuation marks. We have the Eight of Pentacles upright, the Five of Wands upright, and the Eight of Swords upright. So there's definitely a trapping. You feel a little bit trapped in your fears because there's going to be a lot of hard work to be done between of this discourse between perhaps the energy of the Prince of Swords in reverse and the Empress. So there's definitely going to be some competitiveness, competition. Watch out for people trying to get one up on you. Take advantage of the situation. But don't allow yourself to be trapped in those thoughts. You are able to do that hard work. You've been practicing. You've been preparing for that hard work. Think back to all the lessons that you've learned up to now and apply them, because that's what our history is for. Our history is for applying everything that we've learned to what is to come. It is important to recognize that the swords are placed in our own way, and we have the ability to cut those strings, the marionette strings that we are bound by, and step out of those swords. We are not tied indefinitely. There's no infinity to that. We have the control. It may take some hard work, and people don't always want to do the hard work, but it'll pay off in the end when you do. So this can also be referred to being pursued by different avenues. There's different people coming in and making offers that maybe you don't quite feel comfortable with all of them, but it's happening. And you should definitely take your time, go slow, and think through everything that is happening. We also, one of my podcasts, we got the Ring card, and we also got the Eight of Pentacles. So there's going to be some commitments that are going to take a lot of work tomorrow. So just remember your lessons, remember what you've been through, and use that as you go forward. Alright, I will leave you here. I think we've gone long enough. Yep, 23. Yep.